Welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of Alliance War. This is for Loki versus TCN. This is war number 5. They banned Scorp, Spidey99, and Ghost, Torch, and Herker banned. They did that for a reason. I'm on Path 5, so I have that Spot, Jabari, Mantis, then I have Kingpin, Kitty, Absman, and then that Storm X. And you see a Sassy boss on there. So they banned the best counters, Spidey99 and Scorp, right off the bat. So we were gonna have to get creative with that, but I'm not on the boss this war. Andrew is, so you can check out his channel. The link will be in the description, and you can see that boss fight, how it went down. But first off, I have Professor X, I have White Magneto, and Omega Sentinel. I am on Path 5, like I stated. This is the Ebb and Flow knockdown, debuff immune, path fight, and I'm not using a White Magneto pre-fight here, so I can save one for the boss, since the synergy with Professor X gives the White Magneto pre-fight a boost on the last node. So the plan basically is to heavy counter here, and then the spacing is just a little bit off recently. I don't know if it's after an update or something, but the one season I took a bunch of spot bosses, it wasn't an issue. I could heavy counter them just fine. So at this point I was like, okay, I parry heavy and I get my heavy off, but then I use my falter to get a long heavy at this point, long falter and heavy charge just to build up my charges. I eat this special, and it does quite a bit of damage, but not too bad. First section lane fight, but at this point I'm like, okay, just build up to 100 charges. The ruptures, you can see, are doing some work, but essentially that's all I needed to do right there. Knock him down, get to 100, and then I'm off and running with my SP3 spam. So looked a little sketchy, but ultimately I was in control. And you see that pause in the fight? That has been happening to me quite often in just playing the game in general. And we will see that happen a few more times in this war, I believe, if I remember correctly. But ultimately this fight was down. Next up I have a Jabari Panther who is global. I will be using a White Magneto pre-fight there, just so I don't have to deal with her cleanse cooldown and her throwing a heavy. I am using Professor X because I wanted to get him max ramped for an abs fight. He's not on any mini island fights, but I did want him to be at 4 charges with the Omega synergy. He only needs 2 fights, and this would be his second fight. And I did that as a precaution, as a just in case get out of jail free card, in case I need to throw my SB3 with the protection up. And I'll explain that a little bit later, but for now, this Jabari fight, I'm going to just power start 1. I'm still running the boost from before, and I healed up. I made sure that the pre-fight is on, so I backed out and I'm going in. And the plan is just to get to my SB3. I have precision points off already, so I can just limit the chance to basically crit. And of course I crit on the first hit, but at this point everything's pretty smooth. I'm just holding heavy as long as the passive stun allows. There I wasn't sure if I parried, and so I just backed off. And at this point I'm like, okay, just need to bait this SB2, and I'm in pretty good shape. I'm gonna use my falter to get to 100, and there she misses. So I'm like, okay, I want to make sure that the protection is down, and it was about to expire, so I'm off and running at this point. So that was a pretty smooth fight right there, and it's just gonna, I think she goes down just with one special 3, so pretty sweet and smooth fight right there. Next up we have a Mantis on node 19, Ebb and Flow knockdown, debuff immunity, and the prowess build up. So let's get into this Mantis fight, excuse me. And basically I did some duels, and obviously I have a White Magneto pre-fight. Shout out to Enzo for dropping this for me. But the plan here basically was to push her to an SB3 if I had to. I want to push her to an SB2 ideally and bait it. I just don't want her to throw the SB1, because then I have to deal with her whole ZZZ mechanic. So I'm gonna parry, get some armor ups to remove the prowess, then I heavy to basically get the fury up, and I can parry. If it sticks, then I'm going to obviously combo her. But the plan basically is to hold block and then dash back twice and heavy counter her when the fury is down, to remove protection, and then throw my SB3 for big damage while the protection is down. So at this point, you see that I'm pushing her to an SB2, and with the global, it actually drains her. So it can be a bit, it can be a bit frustrating. But here I go for a combo. Then I'm gonna beta heavy, a dash back twice, and heavy counter her, and then throw my special 3, and that's all she wrote. And I am running the recoil tree, the bleed and poison, but I'm not afraid to throw a few specials in these fights. I have Omega Sentinel fights this fight and the next 2 fights coming up. So that went rather smooth. You just got to stay aggressive, and I'm running collar tech as well, and the global just really limits the total power gain there. So I'm not going to be taking this Kate. That is not me. I'm on this Kingpin on Power Snack and Power Sting, and I have a White Magneto pre-fight placed by Mad Cat, so shout out to Mad Cat for this. It really makes this a lot easier. Ultimately not needed, but it does make it easier overall. So this is a rank 5 Kingpin, so it's a beefy boy, and I'm going in, and the plan basically is to bait SB1s. I can dex as much as I want since I'm nullify immune, and yeah, just don't end in a second medium so I don't give him more debuffs. And that's all she wrote. I don't heal up all the way on purpose, so my mechanics can actually feed some regen to me. I don't get willpower with Omega Sentinel, but she will recover a portion of her missing health if there's a bleed or poison placed on her. And with the recoil tree on, that's what you saw at the beginning of the fight. So ultimately, there's 30 seconds in, and it's about 70% down, or 30% down. So I'm just, just bashing away at him, and I'm not really too worried about, timing out or anything. Ultimately, I just don't want to eat an SB1 with that degen. That will hurt, and I don't want to eat a SB1 specifically with the his overpowered up if it does turn on. But the global, again, is limiting his power as I'm power burning him with each hit as I have armor ups. And also I'm limiting his power with collar tech. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, I have 2 stings on me. I'm just kind of, going through this. And I'm like, all right, this is about a minute and 15 in. He's almost dead. And I'm wondering if I should throw my special 3 to basically end the fight. And this is going to cost me some potions, because I should have just stuck to the plan and just slowly, hit him. But he's not dead. And at this point, I take a blocked hit, and you see all that chip damage because he's in overpower mode. So I could have just dexed it and let the incinerates that stuck do their work, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world. I do have 2 more Omega Sentinel fights after this. So I have this kitty and then the mini island fight. But this kitty, all I'm going to do is do the same thing as Kingpin, except I'm going to parry more frequently. And as soon as I get my armor ups, I don't have to worry about a second medium. I'm just going to stay aggressive, and she, the global really limits their power, like I stated. So Omega Sentinel is really, really good for this. And just kind of just beat her down. If I happen to get an intercept, I will. But I'm going to throw an SB3 and land the 6 big incinerates even with protection up, and that'll really kind of melt her, and you'll see what happens. That's essentially what I end up doing, and I get an intercept after the SB3, just organically. So that worked out real well. You'll see it happen. I'm gonna get into the next fight real quick, because the next fight is Absman on Mighty Charge and Ebb and Flow Intercept, and I'm taking it with Professor X. With Torch Band, there doesn't seem to be, some clear, solid, hard counters, and I love taking it with Professor X because with the Power Start 1 and a WAGs, you can just basically, you don't even need the WAGs, but you can just Power Start 1 and get to your SB3 and the fight's over. And I just need to time it to where I push him to an SB2 or he gets out of his form, and then I get the intercept and throw the special 3. You guys have seen the spam. However, I'm constantly testing stuff outside of wars to see what damage I pump out, and again, these power backs, these class boosts are based off a percentage of total health of the opponent and what damage you do to that. And what I've gathered is somewhere between 18 to 20% is what you need to do of their total HP in order to essentially get 1 bar of power. And with Professor X at max mind control charges, you already keep 2 bars. So this is what allows me to SP3 spam. And the reason I'm going over this is because I tell myself in these fights, worst case scenario, I'm fully ramped, I have max recoil on, I have done the math, I'm gonna do somewhere between 45 to 50k with protection up based off of 200 and something, 1,000 health points that this opponent, the Absman, has. So if I get in trouble, just throw the SP3. Just throw the SP3 and I'll be fine. And that's what I have in the back of my mind, but I want to get the intercept. So here I actually block this and he refines and I heavy counter to deactivate, but then he throws it again, so he activates it and I'm like, okay. So he throws it again and that one hurt. I didn't expect him to throw it. And then my falter actually messes up my parry, and here the block damage, since he's refined a few times, just hurts tremendously. I'm in trouble. I throw the SP3 and I'm like, okay, I really need to spam this, and I pop out of this with a SP3, a heavy charge into it just to get another prowess, but ultimately not needed because the first one SP3 spammed as well. So this is gonna save my butt. And I'm thankful that I had this in the back of my mind as a get out of jail free card, because weird things happen in war. You know, I've taken this fight multiple times, completely safe, not a problem at all, and it started out perfectly fine, and then it goes downhill, and that's essentially how war works. You do certain things, and then boom, something hits out of nowhere, and you have to scramble. So pretty happy that I saved it, not happy that it happened. But my next fight is Storm Pyramid X on 53. It's the Stunning, Reflection, and Polka Dot Power node, and I had a really good plan. However, I had a freak out moment in that fight, and the plan was basically to obviously just, bait heavies for openings, do not parry, and just power burn her and remove her prowess and bait SP1s. And once I get to 10 armor ups, I'm gonna eat the last hit of her SP1. It'll land and incinerate, so make sure that I pause. I have my pause timer on, bait an SP1 relatively quickly, eat the last hit on purpose. It'll automatically auto block it and land and incinerate on her. What this will do is allow me to build to an SP3 and keep that incinerate pause to an SP3 because of Polka Dot Power, and then throw my SP3, and then I'll be able to really melt her down. It'll speed things up essentially. And that's the plan here. White Magneto pre-fight just because we had an extra one. It's not doing anything. I don't want to parry. But as you see this kind of, start, when I get to the point of actually baiting the SB1, I started telling myself, oh man, I have to dash back quite a bit when I bait her SB1s. What if I accidentally parry? And this is exactly what I'm afraid of. And I'm just like, oh, right there, I accidentally parried. So my butt basically gets saved with the indestructible boost, and I paused the incinerate right there, but it's just it's about to fall off. And here you see this big old pause. That's not me, that's the in-game live. So I was freaking out there too, and I was just like, okay, I'm at 40%. I can take the chip damage as long as I have the armor ups. I need to keep that incinerate paused, and I'm at an SP2. Like, what am I gonna do? If it falls off, then I can't build any more power. So here it falls off, and I decide I can throw this SP2, but then I'm going to get recoil damage. I'm going to lose health. So here I eat it. I eat it on purpose, and you see the incinerate on there, and I'm going to go to an SP3. Now, the reason I'm not throwing my special 3 is because she has a plasma on her, and I need that plasma to fall off, and I'm kind of going back and forth on whether I should just beat her block or what do I do. But I need it to fall off, because if I throw the special 3 with a plasma on, then per Omega's mechanics, it'll blow it up and do burst damage instead of giving me more plasmas. So I actually wait for it to fall off. I initiate the pause right there, and I throw my special 3, and then you're gonna see 6 big plasmas basically start ticking, and it's really gonna melt her because they're gonna tick for about over 2k a tick, which is about 5k per second. And you see her just dropping, you know, rapidly. And at this point, I throw the SP1 just to waste more time with specials, because that's a shout out to Trevor, who loves to waste time with specials. And you'll see that in our fight time later on. But that was my war. Ultimately, we did end up losing this war, unfortunately, 6-4. You see the fight time. That's all Trevor right there. Don't let him tell you otherwise. And shout out to Karate Mike, Andrew, and myself. We got MVPs. And I will see you guys in the next one.